Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Carlos D. I am an artist from Los Angeles, California. In this video, you're going to see me at the drawing table creating some art. The video is not intended to be instructional, but informative and entertaining. If you learn something from the video, then that's awesome. Joining me once again, and this time sharing the video with me, is my friend Octavio. Thanks for taking the time to hang out, brother.
Yeah, of course, man. Good to be back always.
Awesome. So Octavio is going to be on the right-hand side of the screen, working on his artwork, and I'm going to be on the left. So anything new, dude? What's up, man?
Yeah, dude. As you know, I'm a fan of the podcast, dude. So I wanted to first mention that in the podcast with your cousin, he does have the tapes, right?
Okay. He believes he does,
Or has a copy at least.
Yeah, he believes.
A friend of his has a copy,
And
right?
at the least, that for sure a friend has the copy. It's just a matter of kind of like them getting together, you know.
Yeah, and the tapes I'm referring to are music video mentioned in the previous podcast. But it's good to know, man. I would love to see.
Yeah,
I would love to see that video again.
Same here.
I was blown away when I first saw it.
Yeah.
So I would love to see it again. And also, he did verify that Beautiful Disaster was another one, right? Because
Yes.
I wasn't quite sure, but I had remembered that the Beautiful Disaster by 311 was like, it was two videos from what I thought I remembered. Two videos, right? 101 Beautiful Disaster.
So he confirmed that, yeah, that the other one was Beautiful Disaster by 311.
Yeah.
I personally don't remember it.
I don't remember what the video was. I just remember
Okay.
the song, dude. I remember Zero being one of the songs and Beautiful Disaster being another.
Okay.
What the video was for Beautiful Disaster, I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just remember the song.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also wanted to say that in the podcast with, just to touch up on it a little bit.
Sure
In the
thing.
podcast, the last one with Jaime, you guys talked about the AI. And
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you, dude. I think AI, more than anything, should be used as yet another tool, you know, for sure. And it's something that you see throughout history. I sent you that one link. I tagged you in a Norman Rockwell. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. So in that, it showed that Norman Rockwell used photographs as references.
Yeah.
And the photographs are almost spitting images of the final result. But of course, he did his own little twist in the facial expressions, in the way he painted them, of course. But in the comments, it said that Norman Rockwell was kind of embarrassed to be seen using a projector. So he would use a projector to project onto the canvas, project a photograph, on top of which he would paint.
Yeah.
And he didn't like people like knowing that about him. You know what I mean? Because some people in their minds, hey, you're cheating. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hey, dude,
right.
what are you doing? You're cheating, bro. You're
Right.
projecting a photograph onto a canvas and then painting on top of it. That's cheating for some people. You know what I mean? But I never knew that. I've known Norman Rockwell and his art for, I don't know, years, since I was a kid. I never knew that. And now that I know that, it doesn't take away from, in my mind, from the final product. That guy is basically a legend now.
Absolutely.
You know? And the fact that he used a projector for me doesn't take away from it. Me personally, anyway.
It's when it comes to art, it's the experience of what the artist presents to you when that artist is ready to present it to you. The process is none of your business. Really, the process is none of your business.
Yeah.
It's about, and especially with Norman Rockwell, toward the end of his career, he started doing like some like political artwork, where specifically there's this one where there's this little black girl, I believe, in a yellow dress, and she's kind of like being scolded, and oh no, I'm sorry. I believe it's a family. It's a little black girl, and a black man walking on a sidewalk. Something along that. Where towards the end of his career, I think at his second marriage, or maybe it might have even been his third. His wife at that time was kind of an activist, and she was like spoken up about equal rights and and like political stuff. So he was kind of on board with that. His early in his career, Norman Rockwell, he did everything by hand. He had models and he would have them sit down traditional style. And once he started to employ pictures, photographs, and projector, especially for someone that time is literally money, he has to produce these pictures and submit them for purchase. So as a commercial artist, I would say like that's a no-brainer. There's no like should I not, like yeah, you have to,
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to. And I think even with Jaime, I touched on, I don't know if you're familiar with Caravaggio, his
Caravaggio,
work.
yeah.
He used basically what was that era's projector, to capture all those poses, because you're not gonna have your models holding a pose like that and capture that pose. It's extremely difficult.
Yeah.
At some point, it becomes more cartooning than just drawing what you see, because you can't, muscles fatigue. If anybody's ever done like a figurative drawing or painting from a live model, you see exactly what's happening. The shoulders shrug a little bit. Again, if they're holding their arm a certain way, the muscle gets tired. The human body gets tired. So these are all things to consider if you're an artist.
Yeah.
And if that's going to have an effect in your work, then you have to go with what's going to give you the best result. And again, the result is the important thing.
Yeah, for me also, the result at the end of the day is what matters. And me personally, it doesn't take away that the fact that Norman Rockwell used a projector or whoever used this other technique. And there's also the point of you're never going to please everybody. Someone's always going to be like, hey, that's cheating. I don't like that. Why? You use a projector. Like if you're a true legit artist, you don't need a projector, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. In Norman Rockwell's case, I'm sure he could have, as you kind of mentioned,
Yeah.
he could have done it without it.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just
He
that-
had been doing
yeah,
it without it.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
And with Jaime, we kind of touched on, like, cheating applies to something where there's a set of rules. Well, if in Norman Rockwell's contract it was stipulated on there that,
bro,
hey,
you
you
can't
will
use a
not,
yeah.
everything has to be from a live model, then
Okay.
then he'll be liable for lawsuit. But again, in art, I think that's something that's made up by somebody looking from the outside in, right? Like this, I don't want to use something for tracing, even tracing paper,
Yeah,
right? Even
yeah, exactly.
I don't know where that comes from. Me personally, I've never felt like saying the word trace or projector never has given me a stomach ache. I've always been for it. Again, for me, it's like, well, if what I want to get to is the end,
Yeah.
I want to get there as fast as I can, so I can go on to the next one. And
yeah, and in your case, in many artists' case, if you really wanted to, you could take the extra time, the extra hour or two or whatever it is to do it without the tracing paper, projector, etc.
it's hours, yeah. But hours.
You can do it.
Absolutely.
So it's not
Absolutely.
like you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hours, man. It's hours. But
So-
yeah, no, it's a good to touch on that.
Yeah, ultimately just a tool for me.
Yeah.
I would think so.
A great tool, yeah.
But for this podcast, I wanted to sort of do, I guess, an AMA, continuing from the podcast that you did with your brother on the law of attraction.
Cool.
And in that podcast that you did with your brother, it basically ended with your brother saying like, hey, we should continue this conversation, we should, and then you said like, if anybody has questions about the topic, feel free to, type it in or whatever. I mean, I definitely have questions.
Shoot, man,
about,
shoot.
no,
bro.
no, for
Shoot,
sure. Like
shoot.
me, I'm the type of person who always asks questions, maybe to a fault.
No, man, outstanding. That's
Since I was a little kid, dude. Since I was a little kid, for everything really. I mean, I remember being in church asking questions as an 8-year-old, like how come this or how come
sure,
that?
sure.
This quite doesn't make sense to me. And sometimes the way they would explain it to me wouldn't make sense, and I wasn't really satisfied.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
as far back as I can remember, I've always been the type to ask questions
Cool.
in an attempt to get to the truth at the end of the
Sure,
day.
sure.
For me, that's the pursuit, the truth.
I think what you said is extremely valuable. My with that conversation with my brother, the law of attraction, right? The book that I covered was Think and Grow Rich. I wanted to do that specifically because I wanted to make it like as as crystal clear as possible, really defining the words so that there's no misinterpretation of something that could seem fantastical, like fantasy, magic, or what's said by many as like woo, like, right? And I feel like still the law of attraction has a connotation of woo-ness to it,
Yeah.
and I wanted to remove that because when someone explains something and they make a reference to I use the law of attraction in order to obtain this, generally, and even myself early on, my mind would go to, oh, there's something magical happening in the universe, and oh, all this it's coming together.
Which I think, to be fair, is I think most people think when they hear, especially say The Secret, which is largely based on the law of attraction, right?
It is based on
So when
that,
people
yes.
think of The Secret, that's kind of where their mind goes.
But see, The Secret, if you before you watch The Secret, anybody out there, listen to my podcast with my brother first. Because you enter a space where your boundaries are physics. If there's anything outside of physics, then my mind is going somewhere where it's not supposed to go.
But
The
you,
law of attraction, from my understanding, from my practice, from my application, from my expectation, is all physics. There's nothing that cannot happen outside of physics. It has to be within the realm of physics. And I wanted to have that connotation to the law of attraction, that it all has to do with physics. It all has to do with physics. There's it's not magic, and it's not as easy as just thinking and then all of a sudden somebody's gonna knock on your door and drop you a bag of $1,000.
although I would say it's good that you clear that up, because I think a lot of people go into it with that.
Yes,
They,
yeah,
they go they with the law of attraction, The Secret, especially with, say, the book Think and Grow Rich. Just on the title alone, I think people would go in kind of with that in mind, like,
yeah,
oh,
absolutely. And that's why I had to define
yeah,
the title.
yeah.
I had to define that so that persons understand that this is nothing magic. There's nothing magic about this philosophy. I would say the law of attraction, from my point of view, it's a philosophy. You can choose to accept this as a routine for yourself, and if it works for you, cool. And if it doesn't, try something else. Then it's not for you. It's not working for you. For me, as like I've shared with you many times, a lot of my experiences and a lot of things that have happened to me when I first set my mind to do something and then I accomplish it. I am employing what is considered the law of attraction, but it has, again, it's 100% based on what am I what are the steps that I have to do? What are the steps that I have to take in order to have this experience? Somewhere along that path, something is going to happen that is going to lead to the next. There has to be from point A to point B to point C to till you get to the end of Z. And then once you get to Z, you look back and you're going to begin with, okay, I had a desire to do this. And then you can explain to everyone like how to connect the dots. But you can't do that. You can't do that halfway even there. It's only once you get to the end that everything happened as it would naturally happen in physics.
Can you expand on, for instance, the law of attraction? What is it? What isn't it? What can it do? What can it do? How does it work?
Okay.
Like, can you expand on that a little bit?
I can try.
So like,
I can try.
what is it and what can you do with it?
Okay. What is the law of attraction? The law of attraction is a philosophy, a train of thought that one can use the imagination to think of specific situations that one wants to experience in life, in physics, in life, in this world right here that we're all a part of. And by employing the imagination and focusing your awareness on that, whether it's daydreaming, whether if it's meditation, whether if it's an active brainstorming process by yourself or with someone else, that right there, you're employing the imagination to experience in what's called the theater of your mind, right? But it's just your mind in there. Whether you close your eyes, you have your eyes open, whatever. Just making mental pictures of the experience that you want to have. Once you make those mental pictures of the experience that you want to have, if you can make it as physically real as this world, if you can make a lucid dream out of it, if you can feel the physics, if you can, for example, a simple handshake, again, something that I've personally done myself, a simple handshake with another human, and you're specific about who that human is, in that moment of employing your imagination, you feel, you know, the wind in your hair, you feel the coldness or the warmthness of the atmosphere of this particular day. That if you make that real in your mind, it is said in the law of attraction circles that that aids to the probability that you will experience that eventually in life, whether if it's a week from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever. That is an aid to that.
Is there in your mind, like how much does it increase the probability of it happening? Like, does it increase it by 100%, 5%, 1%? Like,
I'm gonna say,
how do you think about it?
I'm gonna say 100%. I don't know. 100%. I have no idea, dude, because I've experienced things that one woman I thought like, oh, that would be cool. Something simple. I'm gonna give you a reference from experience. I told a friend when I was in Florence, and we've had this discussion of law of attraction stuff in the past. I told him he wanted to go to dinner. It was towards the end of our semester in Florence at the Angel Academy of Art, and he's like, "Hey, let's go. Let's go grab a burger." On I believe it was on a Friday. So he mentioned that to me early on in the week, and I'm like, yeah, perfect, dude. Where it's coming to that time where everybody's kind of saying goodbye. I believe it was Wednesday. To my recollection, it was like 2 days that it happened. On Wednesday, this idea came to me like, let me see if I can make something happen with a witness, right? And my friend Ivan, he's currently a tattoo artist and from Chicago. Ivan, what's up, dude? I told him on a Wednesday, I believe. I told him like, hey, dude, we're gonna go grab some dinner, right? This and that. He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I told him, can you imagine what it would feel like to get a free meal And I said it in that tone, really, really kind of like, hey, you know why I'm saying this, right? And he kind of just paused and he looked at me. He's like, oh, like you're trying to do a trick. Basically, I'm trying to do that Jedi mind thing, right? And I'm like, I'm just saying, dude, can you imagine what it would feel like to get a free meal? I I didn't do like a mental exercise, and I left it at that. I didn't think about like, oh man, somebody telling me, hey, here, the meal's on me, this and that. I didn't do any mental exercise, let's say, for that situation in itself. Nothing, 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 nothing. Well, Friday came around. We went to go grab a burger at some bar, and in the whole mix of everything, the waitress was like, "Oh, can I bring you guys your bill?" Somebody else was going to take over. There's going to be like again, everything happens within physics. Whatever reason happened that she kind of like felt like I want to bring you guys your bill real quick because it's starting to get busy, and it's these places, it's like it's just her and she's kind of running around. So we're like, yeah, sure. We're not going to order anything else, and so that's fine. So she brings over the bill, and I pick it up and I'm looking at it just to confirm, like, and make sure all the stuff is correct. And I go down and I'm looking down, and I didn't get charged for my burger. And I give it to Ivan, and I'm like, yo, make sure everything's there. Again, I already had saw it. I was just kind of like waiting for his reaction, right? And he's looking and he just kind of like props up a little bit, and he looks at me. He's like your burger's not here. And I just kind of threw my hands up in the air, and I was just like, hey, bro, I told you, remember? What would it feel like to get a free meal? The whole meal was not free. I still had bought like a drink and fries or something like that. So what I spoke, let's say if I want to use this term, I spoke it into existence. Well, it wasn't specific. Why did it happen? I have no idea. I'm just sharing with you that experience. And again, in that moment, all it was, I decided to like, oh man, I want to see if I can pull something off where I can have a friend of mine experience something, rather than having him do like, yo, you do something, right, and you make it happen. For whatever reason, I feel like I'm maybe I'm naive enough to like submit my mind to this philosophy that it aids me personally in achieving certain things. But again, I did that with that meal. I got a free burger. Very cool. No big deal, but something more. The other situation where I explained, and this is with Ivan also. He's the person that I had this conversation with. That I told him, like, Tool was in town. The band Tool was in town there in Florence, and I told him, watch me meet one of them or all of them. For that specific thing, for 1 week, I did in my mind, walking to school and walking back from school, I was imagining myself extending my right hand, and to the group, in my imagination, I would see all four of them standing there, like Maynard, Justin, Danny, and Adam. I would see all of them just standing there, and me extending my hand and saying, I knew I was going to see you here. I knew I was going to see you here. Now, I did that actively for a week. Perhaps maybe 2 weeks after that week had gone by is when I met Justin Chancellor, the bass player for Tool. I didn't meet all four of them, but I met him, and I got to say what I was imagining in my mind that I was saying. I knew I was going to see you here. So what really works and what really doesn't work, I had no idea, man. I had no idea.
Well, what would you say are the limits to it? Like, if someone, because again, I'm thinking what the average person out there encountering this is thinking. When the average person hears or comes across the Secret, and I saw the Secret, the video,
Okay.
kind of around when it came out, just to see what all the fuss was about.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people walk into it saying like, well, can I just imagine $1 million then? Can I manifest $1 million? I guess is the question.
A great
that
question.
A lot of people are gonna say.
Of course.
Well, all right, like if
Very
it works,
valid.
if it works, manifest $1 million.
Very valid.
Yeah.
Very valid. And speaking from personal experience, counting, if in your imagination you're counting out $100 bills, by the time you get to probably around 70,000, if you're very concentrated, you'll probably start dozing off. I've done it myself personally. I've counted in my imagination $100,000, $100,000. I've done it. I've done it. I've done it. Uh, and months later, yo, man, I was catching a big check. So I'll leave that story for another time. But to when it comes to money, so in the philosophy of Think and Grow Rich, or rather the law of attraction, my belief, I don't know, but this is where my intuition kind of guides me to say more than likely is the situation, is that Carl Jung's collective unconscious is active in this law of attraction. That is to say that everyone's thoughts are affecting the outcome of the whole planet. And if I wanted to, let's say, if everybody wants money. Everybody wants money. Money is very useful. Money is a beautiful thing. Money is an amazing thing. Money is great to have. And that thing that is great to have that everybody wants is receiving a lot of attention. I think I mentioned this to you before, but let me break it down to like the lottery. Okay. Everybody wants to win the lottery, to include myself. I see myself winning it.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to?
Exactly, man. I mean, I think that someone who feels like they deserve it is probably a little higher on the totem pole, because there's something there that feels like a genuine deserve, not like I deserve it because somebody else is trash. No, not that. I deserve it because like I know I'm gonna do nothing but positive vibes in the context of winning and obtaining this amount of money, right? So being somebody positive like Elon Musk, anyone that's for the betterment of human experience. Now, because there's so much attention on wanting money, any amount, I kind of feel like there's a funnel effect where if it's an hourglass type of funnel, only one grain of sand once a month wins the lotto. Like that grain of sand slipped through.
Do you think that, speak on the subject of the lotto itself, everyone that wins the lotto use the law of attraction?
I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
I highly doubt that. Consciously. Unconsciously, 100%.
So without knowing
Yes.
without knowing they applied the law of attraction,
Yes. Every single human being on planet Earth that has self-awareness consciousness is using the law of attraction unconsciously. Some are using it consciously.
What would be then the selling point of the book? Like, hey, you already got it. Like, what's the point of the book then? Think or Grow Rich, or The Secret, or whatever.
How to. It is a how-to book.
How to consciously
apply it. Every single human, and that's why this is the perfect time to make this point, is that the law of attraction is physics. The law of attraction is literally the minds, individual minds, expressing their thoughts and emotions on a thought wavelength. Let's say, right? Not visible, not audible, not nothing, but it's just a thought wavelength that the collective unconscious is picking up on. And based on the information that the collective unconscious is picking on, it is second by second making these adjustments to accommodate the thoughts of everything that's coming in. I made a chart, dude. I made this chart that was like very similar to a Rubik's cube of how to apply this. So maybe one of these days I'll rehash the chart out, and I think visually it'll make a lot of sense.
We were talking about a sort of, with the lotto, sort of funnel. The idea of the funnel, and that only one goes through, or
Yes,
because there's so many people wanting to win it.
exactly. So if it would be like I'm gonna do my best to try to explain it without the visual aid, and I'll do a visual aid because I think that would be very helpful for anybody trying to understand what I'm saying when I say that the law of attraction, everybody is doing it. Everybody is doing that has self-awareness consciousness. Everybody is doing thinking, and thinking itself is law of attraction. Whatever you're thinking of is what you're going to end up experiencing, or something like that. If you're, unfortunately, people that are in
Comatose or
comatose or under the influence a lot, they're generally running away from reality, right? Trying to escape reality.
yeah,
And in that, they never see themselves in reality. So they execute drugs or whatever the case is to escape from reality. But even out of reality, they're still doing it because this is my intuition is throughout the years has led me to this loose conclusion. Again, I don't know, but my intuition guides me to this point is that everyone is using it no matter what. Those that are aware of it and are able to use certain techniques might, again, I don't know, it might help to eventually experience that thing that one was thinking. I don't know for sure. I think that because all minds are not equal, right? All minds are not equal. Some have a greater capacity to apply it than others. Like for me, for example, I feel like for whatever reason, again, maybe I'm just naive enough to submit myself to, okay, I'm gonna do it, and then something happens, and I experience maybe I've reached that level. But others might reach it through a desperate desire of a religious context, like, Lord, please bring this to me. Lord, please bring this to me, and that brings that experience to them. So I really don't know what it is. My personal philosophy is that it all has to do with thoughts anyway. So if one has that awareness, then you can start to catch yourself and bring yourself back to, again, states of joy, or getting back to wanting to experience that thing that you want to experience and just trying to stay there as long as possible in your mind, because no matter what, it's happening. Trying to explain what I'm saying, I'm sure is real complicated to understand. Imagine a Rubik's Cube